Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage. Funny, I'm your host, Harvey Free. We've got an excellent panel. To my right, Mr. Harry Glantz.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Harvey. How's it going today?
Fantastic, Harry. Another wonderful day here in Michigan. No snow. Where's all the snow going to be?
Don't wake it up.
Coming.
All right? It's coming. Don't worry. It's going to be cold, and you'll be walking the dog at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be 17 below. You know it's coming.
It's coming, and I'm glad we got a great show lined up for you here. Lisa comes all the way, the queen of Macomb County, and a whole lot more. Hey, Lisa Lawson.
Yes, I came all the way from Macomb County.
All the way. Packed her bags.
I think everyone did here. So
yes, we all
drive
did.
in. We like the dry roads. Hey, let me introduce our panels here. We've got Joy Rocklitz, Realty Executive, Hometown. Joy, great to see you this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, fantastic. And we're welcome to our show. And Jeremiah Hayner, AAA Insurance, and a whole lot more. Boy, Jeremiah, we're going to get into Habitat for Humanity. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
So
How are you?
You learn a lot about your guests, okay? So we've had Joy on. We've had a great relationship with her over the years, and Jeremiah. And you learn a lot when you're talking off mic, right? So you learn that Joy is a diehard Lions and Tigers fan. And you learn that she's married to a Bears fan. I mean, that household must be crazy. And Jeremiah's son plays travel baseball. And being that this is a sports station, we're all team and sports oriented. You know, you build that commonality and you just talk about all those things. And then when you get into mortgages, real estate, homeowners insurance, things that we're going to talk about today, it just makes the conversation flow that much easier. And anybody who can see the relationship there, Harvey, you know how that is because you're a big sports guy.
Yo, I love that. And of course, Harry, sports brings everyone together, and like home ownership brings everyone together. And Jeremiah, we just started off this morning really going after it. Salute to your kid because, of course, we're baseball junkies over here.
Yeah, me too.
I hope we hear good things from him this summer. But what's really fun is we were talking about even the Little League World Series. That has to do with the city, and all the kids typically go to the same couple elementary schools. That's usually 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And then we get into this travel baseball now. But again, these are long-time relationships. It's just like you moved into a new neighborhood. These are long-term relationships.
Absolutely. And we have that connection with a lot of the kids on the team from different areas. And moving up each age bracket, it's phenomenal. It's been really fun.
Joy, they say the sports brings kids together. Of course, the church does, the communities do, your neighborhoods do. I started off the New Year's resolution last week by saying, hey, let's change this year a little bit. Try to do something nice for your neighbor. And I threw out a couple of things. I did get that mailbox up all the way.
Harvey painted mailboxes last week. That's what he did in his community. I'm serious.
No, not painted.
Yeah, you did. What are you kidding me? You did. You actually said hello to your neighbor. You held hands and you painted mailboxes.
We had 4x4 post, Harry, and Quickcrete going in the ground. Yeah. This is some serious
Love
stuff.
You, man.
Joy, but isn't it fun, though, when you move into a new neighborhood? And, I just remember even at the closing table, the old-fashioned closings when sellers and buyers are there, how exciting it is. And they start saying, hey, they start telling you about your neighbor to the right and to the left, and if you ever need anything fixed, all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I have not lots of buyers who are still friends, sellers that made friends with the buyer so they could keep their connection in the neighborhood. And they still do. They became Facebook friends, and it's really kind of neat.
So we had Joy, Jeremiah, Lisa, Harvey, and I were on the podcast on Wednesday, and we talked about some things, and we threw it out there. And there was a national publication, and Joy, and we talked about it. There was a national publication that said that last week over week, from the previous week, the first week in 2023 to last week, that home inventory was down 4%. Joy said, wait a minute, that's a national thing. That's not here. Okay, so Joy, explain that. So we know the article went on to say that in Boston and San Francisco and Phoenix and Las Vegas that you see that inventory is down. But here, talk about what's going on in our area, because this is a regional thing and specific to our area, especially Macomb County. Listings are up, right?
Listings are up 15 to 25%, no matter where I looked, and at least in Macomb and Oakland County, where I mostly work. Oakland County, I think, is up about 15%, and Macomb is 25% from 12 months ago.
So, yeah, Macomb's always been a very active county for us, and we have a great presence there with Lisa and other people. But specifically right now, and we talk about home ownership all the time, and if you read the news and everything, look at rates are at 6.5. Now, if you wiped out 2020 and 2021, forget about that, and we said rates are at 6.5, it's no big deal. But it just seems that there's that stigma, which 6.5 is not a bad rate. Now, does a pair and pale to 4 and 3 and 2.5 that you got? Yeah, in comparison, of course it does. But 6.5 right now, if you're waiting to buy a home because you think rates are going to go down to 4, you're not going to buy. It's not going to happen.
No, and the fact is that it's kind of a normal rate. We haven't seen rates like we've had in the last couple of years. I don't know if we've ever seen them in America. But right now at 6.5, that's very normal and actually low compared to what people were paying in the 70s and 80s for their. We couldn't even afford to buy a house at first when we were starting out. We just couldn't buy. We could not afford that interest rate.
Yeah, but nobody wants to hear that when I bought a house, rates were at 12 3/4.
Yeah,
Nobody
that
wants to
was
hear about
crazy.
that because they don't care. They only care about what's going on now. And what's going on now is that if you wait, there's going to be more competition in the spring.
Yeah.
There are houses on the market right now, and there are great first-time home buyer programs, trade-up programs, and Lisa is the queen of that. That's what you call her. She's the Google of our office. She's the queen of Macomb County, and she understands all the programs that are out there.
I have a lot of nicknames.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
In my neighborhood, if you didn't have a nickname, nobody liked you. You're supposed to have a
I was
nickname.
going to say, I just realized I have a lot of nicknames. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great programs out there for first-time home buyers. We always talk about MSHDA. That's the state of Michigan's program that most people are familiar with, I think. But there's other ones that people are less familiar with. There's ones that are specific to Wayne County. National Faith Home Buyers is one of those. There's the Chino program, which is a national program that can offer down payment assistance. And there's also local programs. There's one in Port Huron. There's some in Pontiac, all different areas that if people feel like, they want to own a home, they're sick and tired of renting, but they just don't have quite the funds. Maybe they got their tax refund or they're anticipating their tax refund, but they're still short. This can make up the difference. This can really, really help. So people have this idea that you need, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to buy a home, and that's just not the case. For those who qualify, there's ways to get in for much less money.
All right. Well, 2022, Lisa, there's no doubt about it. The numbers were starting to fall off a little bit. It just wasn't as exciting as the pandemic 20 and 21. Joy, of course, you were living it. Stop me if you hear anything different. Home sales continue to suffer a little bit in 2022 because we had that perfect storm when the rates burped up. Let's say, I always say burped up, jumped up a little bit in, let's say, August, September.
They only doubled.
They only doubled a
Yeah,
little bit.
it was
They
a
only
fast
doubled. They just
climb.
burped up a little.
So they just went up a little bit. But
It's
that
a shot up, not a burp up.
Yeah.
that inflation talk, maybe that's starting to sense that they've got that under control. Of course, the Fed continues to move rates. They're looking to move them up still. But the ultra low inventory, I thought it was ultra low inventory, but now you're telling me that inventory is up 15% already from last year this time.
Yeah, it's a great time to buy it. Well, it's always a great time to buy and sell, I think. But the opportunities are out there for both sellers and buyers. Things have become a little bit more balanced. You all know that it wasn't pleasant for buyers all the time when they're fighting 35 other offers on a house, and I had that happen. It wasn't easy. So this is actually good for both sides of the deal.
We talked about it a little bit too, Lisa, yesterday. Harry mentioned he was down in Florida. He does this Christmas thing down there, and sure enough, Florida's gangbusters. I'm licensed in Florida, where most of us are.
I am too.
It's gangbusters in Florida. So people here, if they're saying, "Oh, prices are coming down, Harvey," and they give me that gloom and gloom, it's not true everywhere.
Right. That is absolutely correct. So just like Joy reiterated in the beginning about the 4%, reduction, really we have more listings, not less, in Macomb County and Oakland County. You can't take the national average and apply it across the board. In Metro Detroit, there's still a ton of properties available, more coming available. This is really an opportunity for people who couldn't buy a house last year because they couldn't be competitive in that insane market that we're talking about, where people were making, 10, 20, 30, getting 10, 20, 30 offers, and you had to make guarantees. You had to, guarantee over asking, and that wasn't feasible for some people. So this market gives opportunities to those.
So-
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, Lisa, that's true. Harvey was so aggravated the other day when he came. He goes, "You're not going to believe it. I was somewhere and somebody came up to me and said, home prices are coming down." And he was so aggravated about it because this is what people hear out there.
Yeah,
now, we're
not
not
the case.
we're not here to tell you that you can't get a deal. You can't go ahead and negotiate a better price. But it's supply and demand. If you're in an area where there are less homes for sale and they go on, then you might be in that bidding situation again. But the key is you have to be prepared. You have to be all ready to go. So when you're ready to jump in, you're going to go ahead and win that transaction because you're all prepared, Harv. So I love the passion. I love the fact that you're not going to believe, you know, this guy, he said that the prices are coming down. And I'm like, don't worry about it, brother. It's all good.
I can get it under control. Michigan's definitely now more of a stable market. And I think, Joy, that's what you're alluding to. This stable market here in Michigan. It's not the crazy market we had in the past. We are seeing some of these overlisted. Look, if you got 20 agents showing up to your door telling you they're going to list it for $250, and then Joy comes around and says, maybe I'll get you $275. It's true, Joy. You might end up getting that one buyer that's willing to pay $10,000 or $15,000. Maybe they recognize that the basement's already finished and they've already figured it out what that's going to cost to get finished. You got to have knowledge, and that's what you're all about.
That's right. The more updates, the better. But that doesn't necessarily mean as far as the price goes, it doesn't mean you have to redo your whole house to get a sale on it either. So you have to balance all that too with what your return on investment is going to be.
Yeah, and there's some people, especially first-time home buyers, are looking specifically for a house that hasn't been updated, so they can get it at a more competitive price than a house that's been fully gutted and redone. Tons of first-time home buyers aren't in that position. You know, they still need that a little bit below market price to get in.
Trying to make it their way. All right, we've got a great show all packed up for you till 10 o'clock. Then it's going to be sports. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, 248-539-9797. We'll be back with your calls. We are back. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 23rd year. I said it was 24. Here he says 23. But we'll go with 23 for now. We started this in 1999 to give you great information on mortgages and purchases. And, of course, Jeremiah Hayner comes in. We're going to be talking in this segment here a little bit of homeowners insurance and get into a whole lot more. 248-539-9797. I'm Harvey Freed. He's Harry Glanz, Lisa Lawsons. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. Jeremiah, the most exciting thing I heard is when Lisa reminded me this week that you're on the board for Habitat for Humanity, and we want to get involved more. We've done this in the past, years ago. We want to get involved more, but what a great thing that you guys are doing. Just go and give us a little preview of it. Of course, most people understand what it is.
Sure, yeah. This is the Macomb County Habitat for Humanity, and it's a phenomenal organization, changes lives. Moving people from a renter situation to home ownership is phenomenal. We talked off mic about just the benefits that trickle down from, stability in the home, allowing kids to get better grades in school, having their own bedrooms, having a place to call home. It's phenomenal. And being on that board, there's nothing better when you turn over the keys to a family and you just see the tears are flowing, there's emotions. It's just awesome. So it's been a great opportunity. It's also helped me get a little bit better at doing things around the house because I'm not handy.
Oh, boy.
So, volunteering on the home builds, which we recommend, is a great opportunity for companies and even individuals just to come out and experience putting together a home for a family.
Yeah, how many homes did you do last year?
So I was on 2 of them last year, and then overall we're somewhere between like 36 and 50 in the range for the last 20 years or so.
That's wonderful.
So we're putting them out there.
So now that you're out there, you're doing them, you're banging nails. I mean, what's your expertise now? What
Well,
can you do
the
best? I want to know.
So
because
they
you're coming
kept-
over after the show. I just want to know what you're doing.
They kept me limited to doing vinyl siding, and they said do not go crooked with it because it will tell. So my whole experience is just keeping the siding level.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job.
I
That's,
need
that's
siding
pretty awesome.
here. I need siding at the house. Thanks,
yeah.
Jeremiah. Well,
No
I
problem.
love the fact that it builds communities. And again, we started off with a little sports and how that builds strength in communities and giving the kids the confidence. And, I've lived a little bit of that life where we went from a house to an apartment and then, yeah, we figured it out. But again, it really helps children feel like a sense of community where they have their own room and a roof over their head. And that's what's so important about really our younger generation. And hopefully they're going to be doing the right things. So I love that stuff. Great stuff. I know you're a church-going guy, and would love to have you on the show. Of course, we're going to talk about homeowners insurance, too. Lisa, you can't close a mortgage or a house purchase without homeowners insurance. And I think the craziest thing about homeowners insurance to me is it's actually less money than my car insurance.
Yeah, I'm going to preface that as you can't close a loan with a mortgage without homeowners insurance.
There you go.
Technically,
Yes,
you
you
can pay
can.
cash for a house
Yeah.
if you want to be silly and not insure it in your investment, but absolutely. So getting homeowners insurance not only protects the buyer from anything that might happen to the house when they move in. You walk in and 3 days later you have a sump pump failure and hopefully you got water backup on your coverage. You call your insurance person, say, I've been here for 3 days and the sump pump overflowed. And, do I have that rider? And hopefully you work with someone like Jeremiah who's going to make sure you have that rider. And you said, yep, you're covered. Otherwise, you do these fly-by-night companies and everyone wants the cheapest premium. Well, sometimes with the cheapest
That
premium
kills
comes
me.
the crappiest coverage. And that same person who moved in 3 days, has this overflow, calls the insurance company and they're like, oh, well, you don't have a sump pump backup rider. You aren't covered.
Yeah.
And there's so many little nuances about home ownership, especially for first-time home buyers who haven't had the home experience, right? They don't know what to expect, that they kind of sometimes get stuck or trapped. So you always want to work with someone reputable. Jeremiah is notorious for going through the policy, saying you don't need this, we can reduce this, this is too much, but you need more here, and this is why, and explains to them what they need and why they need it. And this way, I'm super confident that they're going to get the coverage they need at a really competitive premium.
So you're going to go ahead and invest in the largest transaction of
Why
your
would you
life.
not
You're
insure
going to
it?
buy a house, right? What I don't understand is why are you nickel and diming on the coverage that you
Right.
need to make sure that your family's safe and God forbid anything crazy happens.
Right.
It's not taken care of. Jeremiah, I got to tell you, if somebody wants to pay, what's $10 more a month or $30 annually let's just say, on a policy to have your family covered. I just don't get it. It used to be like back in the day where people would drive all weekend long to the 3 major appliance stores on a Saturday and Sunday to save $5 on that washer and dryer.
Right.
You just burned up $20 in gas in 2 days, but you saved the $5 on the washer and dryer.
So I'll tell you when that moment crystallizes is when you're on the other end of that phone call, and it's a very emotional phone call. Something has happened at the house. There's panic, there's fear, there's often crying. That $10 to $20 that you invested originally on the right coverage, when you hear that agent say, "Don't worry, you have coverage for that,"
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
all of a sudden you literally feel the mood shift on the phone call, and now you're kind of like getting them to breathe a little bit, and you can start moving forward, because it is when that stuff happens to you in your house, you're in a panic. You're not thinking. You have brain fog. And that's what having a good homeowner's policy does. You cannot put a price on peace of mind. You just can't.
Jeremiah, we talk about the price of things, and of course, if you call up, if you got your trust in your car insurance guy, and it's AAA, let's just say you're a AAA guy, well, then that's where your first call would probably go, because having dual coverage or multiple policies will also give you a discount. And then you threw out there this $25 a month is $300 a year. And we're going to get into it a little bit, Lisa, because we're going to talk about escrow accounts and the full house payment, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. But again, a small amount of money, learn what your options are. And I think you take an extra few minutes to go over that. That's why it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. The bundling rate is huge, so that'll really cut down your price on homeowners insurance and allow you that flexibility to add those types of coverages. But I mean, think about it from a perspective that we're financing our cell phones for sometimes more than you can add a water backup rider to your home. So
100%
it's
true.
perspective, and it's knowledge and education. Hopefully you have an agent that looks at signing you up as an education process, just versus a sale. Because the goal is to build a lifelong relationship and to protect the client.
Well, but think about how easy it is if something were to happen, that you pick up the phone, you call Jeremiah, you call somebody, and you actually get them on the phone, and you talk to them, and they talk you through the process. Rather than calling that 800 number and the ostrich and the yellow shirt guy answer the phone, or they don't,
Yeah.
or something crazy like that. It's very important to have somebody. You build a team. You build a team with a realtor. You build a team with a lender. You build a team with your insurance guy. You build a team with a home inspector. You build a team with all these people, because they put you in touch with everything you need at a fingertip. So when you own a home, and everybody knows it, stuff's going to happen. You just got to know where to go, who to call, and what to do. So that's really the process. And it's really at your fingertips if you build that solid team. You're never going to be alone in the transaction.
Right. And it doesn't matter how well people prepare. Everyone has this idea it's not going to happen to me, right? Like, I don't need this because I'm a great driver. I've never been in an accident in 30 years. And next week, blammo, you get in an accident, right? Well, guess what? If you don't have insurance coverage, if you have a mortgage, you have to. They're going to force place insurance on you, and I promise you don't want that, because it's like three times as much.
Yeah, crazy.
And secondly, things happen. My house was hit by lightning a few years ago. It did some crazy damage. What are the odds of that happening? You just never know. It's better to be safe than sorry. And, yes, obviously there's a cost, and that premium is incorporated into the payment, which is why people are always so worried about it, right? Because they want to make the payment as low as possible. And why spend a little bit more money if they don't have to?
I'd rather have them nickel and dime on that washing machine and that dryer than on their homeowner's insurance. Like, go ahead, spend your whole weekend driving around, but don't do it on your homeowner's insurance.
I don't disagree, but a lot of first-time home buyers are very sensitive to payments, and if they can save $10 here and make that payment, maybe they have a number in their head. They want their payment to be less than $1,200, and it's $1,207. But if they save $10, they can make it under that. This is how people think. This is what we deal with all the time, especially first-time home buyers. There's certain things you cannot get caught up in the details in, and not having great coverage is one of them. You have to have good coverage.
And Jeremiah, what about after you've owned the house for a while? It doesn't necessarily apply so much with my buyers right away, but as you own a house for a while, you start adding things. What are things that you need to?
Absolutely. No, yeah. You can definitely add coverages throughout the year. You don't necessarily have to wait an entire year. Every insurance company has different rules and regulations on endorsements and coverages that they can do. But it's definitely, think about this. You're a first-time home buyer, and within that first year, you've upgraded your cabinets to cherry wood. You've added quartz countertops. You've put luxury vinyl plank. You've added a Trex deck, right? All of these things matter. You've updated your home. Now's a good time to call your agent and say, hey, or maybe you put a new roof on it within the first 3 years. That could be a discount. There could be a discount for an updated furnace or an updated hot water tank. There's a lot of different things. So having that team or that agent that you go to, as you improve your home after that purchase, definitely stay in touch with your agent. It's going to help you out.
Hey, Joey, one of the things of 2020 and 2021 was this, waiving the inspection and looking the other way and stuff. Well, these insurance agents, for crying out loud, they were getting smacked around because after they would move into the house, they would realize they got all sorts of issues with the house. They got backups, sewer, and all sorts of garbage going on because they didn't do the proper due diligence. So, again, the times have changed now. And, Joey, you mentioned it. There's that wonderful window now where it was pretty rough to get a house and multiple bids and waiving inspections. You got time now to do your due diligence and make a sound offer. And, again, check out all these functioning things in the home.
That's true. I would never, ever, 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 ever tell somebody to waive the inspection. It's just not worth it. And sometimes there are still multiple offers on the table, especially if a house is really updated. But try not to put that into your contingencies. Please do a home inspection.
Yeah, in any market, right? In any market, I don't care if it's what you want to call it, typify it as a buyer's market, a seller's market. The fundamentals of the transaction don't change. Now, the way you might go about getting a home inspection is do a pass-fail inspection. Mm-hmm. So it's either a pass-fail and it's not to negotiate terms. That's different. You never waive the inspection. So the fundamentals don't change. You should always get an inspection. You should always have different sets of eyes looking at the transaction. I mean, you go in, it's like blocking and tackling in a football game, okay? You have to block and tackle or you're not going to win the game. Right? You have to do layups in the layup line, shoot your free throws pregame, and all that kind of thing. So the fundamentals of a transaction are the same no matter what the market is.
All right, we're up against our second break here. We want to hear from you this morning, 248-539-9797. There's some not-so-pretty homes out there, but you can make it the way you want it. When we come back, we'll talk about that, 248-539-9797. Keep it here.
I have to get into it.
All righty, we are back. 9:29. Glorious day out there. This, like always, January 14th, 2023.
My man's
We're-
playing some good music this morning.
Yeah, we are waking everyone up if
You're
you're not
awesome.
already up.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Eric.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Very
He's
good.
doing unbelievable.
All right, CPI numbers, boy, that's really
Well, that's
sort of-
good.
Yeah, CPI.
No, consumer price index came out. Prices are coming down a little bit. Inflation's coming down a little bit. The Federal Reserve is, I believe we talk about on the podcast. In February they're going to take a look at raising rates, or actually what the interest rate environment is going to be on the Fed funds rate. My prediction, as you guys heard on the podcast, that it's going to go 50 basis points. But that's all baked in. If they do 25, that's even better for us. So I don't mind being wrong on that account, because me being wrong means everybody else is right, which is good. And it could stabilize the interest rate market on everything. But we're going to see. Other prices have come down. Allegedly, used cars have come down. Durable goods have come way down. And I think we're in a period right now of assessment and stabilization. But how does that relate to what's going to happen in home buying? Well, what's going to happen in home buying, in one person's opinion, is we are going to have a very good home buying year here in metropolitan Detroit. More inventory coming on the market. There are plenty buyers out there. I mean, I'm sure, Joy, you've got more buyers than you do properties that you can show them. So that's what we're hearing around metropolitan Detroit, is that there are still, even though properties are coming on the market, there's still way more buyers looking for that property that checks all 10 boxes for them. But if you're waiting for all 10, you're going to run into a lot of competition, Joy, right?
Yeah, it won't ever happen.
Okay, well,
You can't find all 10 things, no, and that's an important thing for a realtor to educate buyers too, and have a really good talk with them. Sit them down and let them know. I used to be a teacher, so I love educating people before we start the process. It's very important.
that's why, Harvey,
just
that's why,
said that.
that's
Set
why she put the
expectations.
hat on me and put me in the corner just now.
Yeah.
She gave me a timeout.
Gary was naughty. Gary was
Joy,
Wow, story of my life. Thank you.
Joy, the process of home ownership, and the clients that are truly learning the process have a far better experience. They're knowledgeable. I feel, and I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, some of the big box lenders, some of the newer people in town are taking advantage of the ignorance or lack of knowledge, and it really is showing. It shows, because I'm getting the phone calls. And like the other day, a guy was shopping me for rates, but he didn't understand what a discount point was. He wouldn't know the first 5 things, the most important things, because he's chasing something that's invisible. He's chasing that invisible rabbit named Harvey, by the way. With that being said, again, isn't it more rewarding? We go to closings, and the families that know everything, gosh, it makes it feel so much better. They're so confident.
Yeah, I have a motto. It's make your move a joyful experience. I know that's not always possible, but we try to do our best. And I know I get buyers and sellers that come to me with something they heard on the radio, they read in an article, and
Heard
sometimes
from their friends, brothers,
Yeah,
mothers,
yeah.
sisters,
Sisters,
cousins.
brothers,
Yeah.
father-in-law.
I'm certainly not right about everything, but it's really a good idea to talk with somebody who knows what they're doing and is constantly getting educated, learning more about what's happening in the current market. That will really
Everybody
set you
wants to
straight.
talk about their successes, and all you see in life, you on Facebook, on Twitter, everybody's doing this, doing that. Well, I've got one. I'm going to share a failure that I had this week. I had somebody call me up, it was a referral. They called me personally, and yes, we still do work for a living. And they wanted, we were talking about a fixed rate mortgage, and they were buying a second home up north, and we do a lot of second homes up north, and rates on second homes are higher than on primary residence, and we're talking about a 30-year fixed rate. And then they called somebody that has great marketing. They spend a lot of marketing, 800 number, the whole thing. And all of a sudden, guy sends me something about a 2-1 or a 1-0 buy down. Now, we did a lot of those back in the day. And now, right now, what all that means is that you get a lower rate temporarily, and then the rate goes up, and it's higher than the current market rate. And depending on the number of years you're staying, and you're paying outrageous fees and points for this rate. I couldn't talk the guy off the ledge. Now, this is somebody that knows somebody that I know. It's a warm situation. I couldn't talk him off the ledge. He knows nobody at this other company.
Right.
Of course, he knows us. He knows we'll take care of him, the whole thing. And I just couldn't do it. And I said, look at the math. Forget about the voices in your head. All right, just look at the math and look at the time it's going to take to recoup all these costs. You don't even know if you're going to have the property, Lisa.
And not only-
so I couldn't win that one. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I lose. Nobody
I
goes
lost one
perfect.
not that long ago. Yeah,
Right.
same situation. Someone got all excited about a temporary 2-1 buy down, and I'm like, but the cost of the 2-1 buy down is more than if you just permanently bought down the rate, and you can buy the rate down permanently for lower.
Yeah.
So just to use round numbers, they were super excited about their 2-1 buy down at 5.5, and I was like, well, you could buy it to 5.25, and it costs less money
on a
Less
fixed
money.
rate mortgage
And
for
it's
30
permanent,
years. It's
which means
done.
it will never go up. This other one's going to go up at 5.5, then it's going to be 6.5, and then it's going to be 7.5. Now this other one's be 5.5 forever. They could not rip their. They said it was what I was saying was too good to be true. They felt like I couldn't be honest about it because it just sounded too good to be true. I'm like, well, that's what permanent rate buy down means.
I think
sometimes you just can't convince even if it is the truth.
The bottom line is you just have to look at the math,
Right.
digest the math, because the math doesn't lie. So no matter what anybody's telling you and your voice is in your head and that next person on your shoulder is telling you, put pen to paper and then do the math. And Harvey, I got to tell you, I don't want everybody to think that, we're on the show. We try to give objective life advice, do the math, and remember, the fundamentals always dictate your situation.
And again, if you hear something on the show, be sure to call us at the office, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Over 31 years at Capital Mortgage Funding. That's the place to go to, again, locally in your own backyard, 1-800-LOW-RATE. If you want a great low rate, that's the easy part, low closing costs, but we strive to really educate and break down these numbers. Hey, guys, Lisa and I talked about having you on. We said, hey, let's do an old-fashioned mortgage show where families that are listening or parents that are listening and they have their children, and we just talk about the A, B, and C's of it to get families in the right direction. And Lisa, there's no doubt, just starting off with that, you can get a real bona fide approval letter, not pre-approval, but a real approval letter, because we can run your file through with the proper documentation.
Yeah, we do an actual underwritten pre-approval. You give me your documents, and yes, there's automated underwriting, which means your loan officer typed everything in a computer, pushed a button, and it said, yep, you're good. But that's not the same as actually going to the underwriter and being underwritten. That underwriter is going to scrutinize everything. They're going to look at verifications of employment. They're going to get additional information that verifies things that are by third party. And then they look at it. And if they have questions, we have to answer those questions satisfactorily. And then they give us an actual true approval. We do that. We can do that before you even shop for a house. So there is no question in our mind that you will be approved, period. It's the only thing that would happen is if you lost your job, lost your income, something like that might change. But yes, we do them all the time. I love them. And it's called the Lock, Shop, and Go program. You can lock your loan in when there's dates that dip. We've done that too. In a rate increasing market, it's important to get the lowest rate that you can.
I've never had Lisa pre-approve a loan for me that didn't close.
Well, there
Right,
you
we don't
go.
do that.
Not
It doesn't
one
happen.
time. It
There you
just
go.
Doesn't happen.
Already, hey, 248-539-9797. Wasn't sure if that caller was up and ready to go yet, but if you want to call on the show, we definitely will take your calls. 248-539-9797. Lisa, most of the files are straightforward. I would say 50-50. Many of the clients are able to just send their documents to us. They're really easy to work with. But 50% of the families, again, you might be self-employed, commission, bonus, maybe
All
something
different
changed.
stuff.
All different scenarios that come up.
Moved from out of state, had a job gap for a year. Everyone's got a situation. And the reason why, everyone, no offense to the online lenders where you plug everything in and they spit out an approval and you never talk to somebody. If you don't have the right information going in, you get junk out. So sometimes people who are self-employed put in, I made $100,000 a year. And then they get this great approval and they go shop for a house and they realize the loan's denied because even though they quote unquote, they may have grossed 100, but they wrote off 50. So they really only made 50,000 and they can't support the payment that maybe they're doing. This is why you need actual physical people asking the questions, doing the digging. There's always things that come up, and we are, I consider him like a dog with a bone, man. I go at it until I get the right answer. Harry knows that about me. And, I'm a little bit of a guideline junkie because I like to learn. So if we can't do it one way, sometimes we have other options, but we need all the information.
Lisa, I'm not even going to get into all the changes. There's a lot of underwriting changes.
Oh, yeah.
USDA came out with them last week. Let's go to our caller. We got Roger calling in. Hey, Roger, good morning, and thanks for joining our show. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, there's that old wives' tale. I just want you guys to verify it or not. If rental properties are around your house, it makes the value of your house go down. Is that true?
I'm going to say yes and no on that. I mean, it all depends who your neighbors are. If the property's kept up very well, no, it could be a very nice family that moves in there.
Hey, Roger, when you say rental properties around your house, if it's a traditional subdivision, all right, and you're in a sub and somebody bought a house, they don't live there anymore, but they're renting it out now, I would say no. The integrity of the property is intact. I mean, they maintain the property. Their taxes are paid. Everything like that. It's not a shack. No, there's no reason that doesn't come into play. However, if you're in, let's just say, a condo complex, and the majority of the condominiums in that complex are now rental properties, and they're not keeping them up, but the homeowner association has to do it. I mean, there's all different scenarios. I mean, give me one. Are you talking about a subdivision situation, a different kind of neighborhood?
Yeah, just a subdivision situation.
No,
Yeah, no.
My house is in the middle. My house is in the middle of 2 rental properties. So is what I'm saying.
No.
Would that make the value go down?
No.
No.
How does it look? I mean, how do
Are
they
they
look?
taking care of
Are
those
they taking
homes,
care of
yeah.
the houses?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Are they taking care of the house? Are they keeping up the property? I mean, is a lawn mowed?
Yeah, they're not. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Then you're fine.
So it looks the
I
same.
just wondered if that was. I was just wondering if that old wives' tale was true. or not.
No.
We do it all the time.
In your situation, I would have to say no. It's not going to affect anything. Not at all.
Roger, I like the call, though, and thanks for joining us.
No, it's a good question.
I think it's a great
that's-
one.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
it
the whole
really
point.
is.
We're here to dispel these myths because there's
Yeah.
so much misinformation, and this is a
Yeah.
perfect example of misinformation
Joy,
that's still out here.
You've been doing this a long time. You're a realtor. What do you have to say to Roger on that?
Exactly what you guys said. If the property's being kept up, if it's not, I would try to probably either contact the city or the owner and have that problem resolved, and then you should be good to go after that.
There's a lot of great people out there. What do you say here? Bad things happen to good people, and it just happens that way. And so, again, someone might have been in a divorce situation, a health situation, where they couldn't get themselves a mortgage. But here they are renting that wonderful house next door.
Yeah.
They're great people. They're friends with your kids and all those great things that come along with home
Exactly.
ownership. All right, good stuff here. 248-539-9797. Come on back and join us. Alrighty, welcome back to the show, 943. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 23rd year, bringing you great information if you're looking to buy a house or even refinance your house. That's right, Lisa, refinances, debt consolidation. We just got
Cash
past
out
the
home
holidays.
improvements.
How about those folks that buy those things and it's 1 year interest free, blah, blah, or it's 1 year, no payments. It's not interest free, though. You must pay those off. Again, look at a debt consolidation loan. Do the math. When I get back to the office, I know that I'm saving a guy about $150, dropping 5 years off his mortgage. Those are really good transactions. You should take a look at that kind of stuff. Again, we'll take your calls. 248-539-9797. Jeremiah Hayner, AAA, and of course, Joy Rocklitz with Realty Executives, hometown. If you want to call him, we actually got a Jeremy on the line now. Hey, Jeremy, good morning. Welcome to our show.
Agency for a lifetime.
Jeremy, there you go. You're on the air.
Game on, baby.
Hello?
Oh, okay. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you want to go with it? Go with your question. Go ahead, sir. I'm going to put that on hold. Put that on hold again. I'm good. We'll go back to you. We're all good with that. 248-539-9797. Always taking your calls. Hey, sometimes those folks still have the radio on when they're trying to call, so they can't hear what's going on here. Joy, let's roll over to you. We were going to break down again. We said, let's do an ABC show talking about home ownership. Okay. So they start off and they give you a call and you say, hey, get in touch with Lisa. We worked that approval letter. Like, it's very instantly. It only takes a couple hours for us. During the week, our underwriters are, always there to really underwrite the file quickly. You can walk around with a confident buyer, and then they start building this knowledge bank. I brought it up to you in the last segment, but there's a huge difference between the strangers I meet that are calling and I'm just doing their mortgage, than the other 50% of the families that truly learn every facet, and they're so much more educated and prepared for home ownership. And then when the rates drop, they're going to be able to refinance and do all these great things.
Yeah, I can tell the difference for sure between somebody who's just called up and gotten a run-of-the-mill pre-qualifying letter or something like that. I think that the best thing about it is that it puts the whole picture into focus when you get a really good pre-approval, because then what do I need to bring to closing? How much of a house can I afford? How much of a down payment? All kinds of questions are answered, and then from that point on, it's a much easier job for all of us to find you the right house. As long as you know what area you're going to be in and those kinds of things.
All the good stuff, of course. Of course, the loan amounts went up this year. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loan amount went up to $726,200.
You can get a loan for more than that,
Yeah,
but those are the conforming loan amounts.
And of course, Lee,
Yes.
65% of that, which is like, I don't even have the math in front of me, $420,360, the new FHA loan limit.
Correct.
I'm working with some new families now. They're purchasing the house. They had to pass bankruptcy. And again, bankruptcy and foreclosure doesn't mean you're out of the game. You can get back into the game pretty quickly. In fact, if you didn't do the foreclosure, you can really get there. Sometimes families, again, we say bad things happen to good people. 3 years later, you're buying a house, FHA.
2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. So like I have, I tell people all the time, if you're in, and obviously things happen, this is life. And sometimes people have to file bankruptcy. And although you can't get a house right away, the best time to call a loan officer is during that process. Because once that bankruptcy is discharged, a loan officer can help you make the correct steps to rebuild credit. So in 2 years, you will be ready to buy a house. And I have a client that did that, and their score's 760, and they literally filed bankruptcy 2 years ago. But they did the exact right things. They knew what lines of credit to open, what lines of credit to avoid, how to use that credit properly. So here we are 2 years later. They have a 760 credit. We're going conventional. They were able to save some money. So this has worked out tremendously for them. There's never not a good time to call your loan officer within the process, even if it's something that might be 2 years down the road. We'll keep your number. We'll keep in touch. We touch base every quarter, make sure they don't have questions. Sometimes something comes up. They call and ask. That's what we're here for.
Making it really fun. Home ownership, again, we'll show you the ways to be successful with it. So Joy, last night I printed out a list. It's a home buying wish list, and I felt bad for you because literally I thought it was only going to have like 5 to 10 items. I think it goes on for 2 or 3 more pages here. There's luxury items, gazebos, and swimming pools. But the other basic stuff, like we talk about checking boxes, the amount of rooms, does it have a basement? Does it have a good size yard, and no neighbors in the back where I can throw the Frisbee around or whatever it might be. But boy, oh boy, you guys sometimes really have a huge checklist, and it's not always perfect out there, but you're trying to check as many of these boxes as possible.
You are, but you also, I always tell my buyers, you have to pick out the things that are the most important. There's some things on your list you might be able to cross off if we can't find anything, especially when the inventory was so low. And even now, it's still, can be a little competitive out there. If you have a large checklist, chances are there'll be other people looking for the same thing. So you have to figure out what's really the most important.
One of the
Prioritize.
things, Lisa,
Yeah.
during the pandemic, when it first started, all of a sudden, families were that first year in 2020, they were all of a sudden looking at outdoor areas, outdoor, whatever you got, a fire pit in the backyard, a horseshoe pit, whatever you got going on out there. But that became really hot. Is that still, like, families
Yeah.
are now really looking at that stuff?
I think so, because I think a lot of people's priorities have changed, and they realize how much the time with their families is how important that is. So people are looking for things like that. What could I do with the basement for more living space,
Yeah.
fun space for the kids?
I
And,
think
like,
people learned how to live in the space that they have and all around their house. I think people were just, they want to be outside. They had people over, but you were outside. So you learned to go ahead and maximize the space that you had. You also created, if you had a lower level, maybe you fix that up and you learn how to live. And we say basement, but, a basement traditionally, yeah, it's a lower level. It might be a basement. But I've seen basements, 6-figure basements, all right?
Oh, yeah, they're
or lower.
beautiful.
Yeah, right.
And another thing now, the younger buyers, millennials and younger, they want a walkable downtown. That's very important. We talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
It's very important to them that they be able to go somewhere and be able to enjoy some weekend nightlife.
And
So-
walk around.
And walk around, yeah. So there's quite a bit of that in Oakland County, actually. And in Macomb County, we're starting to see St. Clair Shores become more hot.
Yeah.
And hopefully Mount Clemens, too.
Clemens.
Mount Clemens has a great downtown.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When I drive
really
through Mount
fun.
Clemens, it looks like it's been around, one of the
Yeah.
older cities here in Metro
Bath
Detroit,
City.
that's for sure.
Bath City.
It's Bath City.
Yeah.
Oh,
Salt
that's right. The
baths,
old
yeah.
baths, the
They
salt
have-
baths.
No, the springs.
The hot springs,
The
yeah.
hot springs.
They have a
Stuff
great
still
history.
going on? Is it still active? What's the deal with that?
I don't.
There's a
it used
great
to-
restaurant
Harry,
called
that's
Bath
like
City,
the
but I don't think
Schwitz.
Bath City
there's
Bistro
right,
is
that's
great.
right.
Yeah, I could
I
smell
said-
them. When I was a little girl, I could smell it.
Yeah, you could.
It was like a mineral smell.
Yes.
I don't
smell
touch
like that
it
anymore.
anymore.
Probably no more
I don't-
springs.
Yeah,
but
I don't
anyway.
think so. I don't know where they went.
I won't bring up the Schwitz
There you
Harry
go.
that all your friends still go to. It's
There you
different.
go.
It's different
Mount
here.
Clemens trivia. That's just what I woke up for today.
All right, we're in our last little.
But there's other. I was gonna say, New Baltimore's got
Yeah.
a great
New
downtown. There's a lot of
Baltimore,
great cities
yeah.
in
name them
Macomb.
all. We got Romeo in there.
Yeah.
Romeo, yeah, Utica a little bit.
Utica. Yep. There's a ton.
Yeah.
And I think that's becoming a bigger priority, like you said, for the millennials. They want to be able to, have a couple drinks, walk home, kind of like they do in Royal Oak and Birmingham, things that have already existed in Oakland County for a long time.
And St. Clair Shores, you've got the water.
Yeah.
Same with New Baltimore.
So that dispels that myth that was going around 2-3 years ago that millennials aren't buying houses. We know they are.
That's absolutely not true. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
1,000%.
They just have a different checklist.
They don't necessarily want a lot of square footage to take care of.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, different strokes
Yeah.
for different folks.
Right.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
248-539-9797. Let's get into our little vacation home stuff here. Of course, in the dead of winter, us Oakland County, Tri-County area people, we're always looking for a way out of town. Again, if you're a skier, we got the great ski hills, sort of locally, but you'll make your way up north and go to the little Boynes and the different nubs, knobs, and whatever's up there. Crystal. I'm not going to name all the ski resorts out there, but plenty of opportunities for that. But again, Harry, most of the families here, we're looking for a break of this winter. I don't want to jinx us. Like I said, there's no snow yet, really. But there's no doubt vacation homes lease. What a great thing. Now, just a few years ago, you could buy a vacation home, second home, for just as little as 10% down. It was a lot easier.
Yeah.
But boom, things got a little tighter.
This past April, they
and
changed
now we're
the
looking at a
rules.
little bit more, 20% down, and a couple other things.
Yeah, so 20% down now, and also the interest rate's going to be higher. So previously, the difference between a first, like your primary residence and a second home, the rates were very competitive, maybe a quarter point difference. And it's going to be different now because it's priced almost the same way as an investment property. It's very similar. So the rate will be a little bit higher. You're going to need a little bit more money down. But for those who want to buy a second home, it's still an amazing investment.
Yeah, make sure that when you're shopping and making all those phone calls on
you're
that
letting them
second home,
know.
that you're letting them know it's a second home because I guarantee you they'll quote you a primary residence
Correct.
rate. And that-
Absolutely
yeah,
true.
and it's just, you're going to go crazy when you hear the rate. You're going to say, oh, I want that. And how come you're charging me a higher rate? Well, we're not charging you a higher rate. It is a higher rate, and your person forgot about the second home
Or maybe you
rate
didn't mention it and
situation.
you're asking. Yeah.
I always behave myself in these shows. As you know, Harry, 248-539-9797. My buddy Jason, sure enough, 5 weeks ago, just met him recently. And, hey, Harvey, well, this realtor and this and that. I got the call last week, a week before his closing, that they're changing the program, that all of a sudden he's no longer qualified for a conventional mortgage, but it's an FHA mortgage. So I broke down everything for him. I showed him all the differences. And sure enough, they're trying to stick him for a 0.5% higher. Jace, I know you're listening. Call me today. You owe me the phone call. You owe me the $50 Starbucks card and whatever else. else.
Well,
All
call
right.
them out on national radio,
What's
Harvey.
the big deal? You didn't call me Friday to tell me what really went down. Anyways, there's still some of that going on
Yeah.
out there where all of a sudden the story's changing. And this has been going on, Lisa, in the mortgage industry since I got into it. I'm like, wait a minute, these people aren't even qualified to make these calls. And why are they quoting you this? Ratios don't change overnight.
Well, I had somebody call me the other day and wanted me to send him an estimate. And so I said, well, I'll send you an estimate for what's considered par rate, which is the rate you would get based on your credit and everything else. You can buy discount points after that. And I said, we could buy the rate down. And I try not to use the word discount because it's very confusing to first-time home buyers because it sounds like they're getting money off. And that's not the case. So I sent him the par rate and asked him if he was interested in buying points. He said, no, I heard buying points is bad. Then it sends me an estimate from a competitor. And he goes, can you meet this? And I said, well, you're buying points. You said you didn't want to buy any points. He goes, no, they're giving me a discount. I said, no.
Oh, boy.
They're not giving you
Yeah.
a discount. But
Yeah.
that's first-time home buyers. It's very confusing. And I said, they're charging you that money. A discount, even though it is opposite. It's a charge. It's called a discount point because it discounts your rate. That's why the name is discount.
Right. You're paying for
but
a lower rate.
You're paying for it. It is a charge. It increases the money you're going to bring to close. But these are the things that when you're dealing with, I don't want to say, I hate to use the word shifty, but if someone, I asked him, I said, well, how did he explain it to you? And he said, no, he told me it was a discount. And I'm like, oh, boysies. You know what I mean? So it's so important to work with reputable people who take the time to explain everything honestly and correctly and properly.
I think my guy hung out with your guy and then went to the same shifty
probably.
place. I think
That's
that's
not
what the
good.
story is.
Right?
These approval letters are free. First of all, there's no obligation. We don't take any hostage money. Make sure you call the professionals. There's a huge difference out there, folks. If you're listening, have your family is engaged. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Lisa, how soon should you think about home ownership and getting this approval letter if your lease is up in June?
Now.
It's 6 months away.
No. Well, yes, because you're going to call me. I'm going to pull your credit, and it's probably going to take you a week or two to get your documents together. Some people are lucky and get it to me a couple of days, but by the time you get everything to me, and I'll need a day or two to get the approval out, and then you're going to look with the realtor. But that gives you about 3 or 4 months to look for the property, because then you need 60 days, 30 to 60 days to close.
All right, that music says it's the end of our second of 2023
Wow,
Hardcore
that
Mortgage
went
Real
so
Estate
fast.
Business Show. It goes way too fast. Joy, you're a pleasure, and I'll look forward to having you guys on again. Jeremiah,
Thanks.
the best, AAA.
Thank you.
Jeremiah Hayner, if you know him on the east side, you might know him everywhere. Jeremiah, thanks for all
Everybody
the great work
knows
you do with
Jeremiah.
Habitat for Humanity and all your hard work. What a great family guy. I love when I meet people like this. Let's go there and thank everyone. Of course, Lisa Lawson for coming in. The best, Harry Glanz. I'm Harvey Free. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. See you next Saturday.